My DIL kicked me out and moved her parents in. The next day I walked in with the buyer of the house. The porch light is on, but no one opens the door when I arrive. I stand there in the early dusk, my small suitcase in one hand, a bakery box of sugar cookies in the other. My fingers are stiff from the cold, and my heart pounds harder than it should for something as simple as visiting my son's house. I'm Marlene, 69. I live in a quiet suburb just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I raised my only son after my husband passed when our boy was still in middle school. I worked double shifts at the clinic, packed his lunches, showed up to every game, and somehow kept the lights on. For a long time, it felt like just the two of us against the world. And now I stand outside his front door, waiting for someone to remember I'm part of this family. Eventually, the door creaks open. My daughter-in-law leans against the frame, still in her yoga pants hair in a messy bun. She doesn't reach for a hug. She doesn't even reach for the cookies. Just lifts her brows and says, "Oh, you're early." I swallow down the instinct to apologize. Traffic was light, I manage. "Thought I'd surprise you." She steps back, but not to let me in. Just far enough so I can drag my suitcase over the threshold myself. The hallway is warm and smells like lavender and lemon, her scents. Not mine. Not the cinnamon and vanilla my grandson used to beg me to bake with. He used to leap into my arms when I visited. Now I don't hear his voice. Where is I start? In his room, she cuts in. It's been a long day. He's winding down. She doesn't say I can see him. My son isn't downstairs. The kitchen table has 3 places set, but none for me. Her parents sit there sipping wine like they've always lived here, like they built this house from their own bones. Her mother offers a tight smile. Her father barely glances up. I'm invisible in a house that still remembers my fingerprints on its walls. "You'll be in the garage," she says after a pause. "Sorry, it's all we've got right now. My parents are staying a while." No apology in her tone, just a casual cruelty wrapped in polite language. I force a smile. "Garage. Yeah, we cleared a little space. There's a cot and a space heater. It's clean, I promise." I want to ask why, I want to ask what I did, but instead I nod and roll my suitcase down the hall. Past the closed bedroom doors, past the kitchen where no one asks if I want tea, into the cold dark of the garage. A folded blanket sits on the cot like a dare. As I sit on its edge and wrap it around my shoulders, I can hear the clinking of glasses through the wall. Her mother is laughing. Her father joins in. And somewhere upstairs, my son is silent. This is the welcome I get. Not even a room with a door. Just 4 walls meant for storage. Meant for things no longer needed. And as I stare at the single bare bulb overhead, I ask myself something I never thought I would. When did I stop being family? The blanket smells like mothballs and someone else's detergent. I curl deeper into it, but the concrete beneath the cot radiates cold that no amount of fleece can fight. My knees ache. My pride aches more. Morning creeps in through the garage window, one of those high, narrow ones with frosted glass. I can't tell if it's rain or just mist, but everything feels damp. When the door creaks open, I sit up straight, brushing my hair down with my fingers. My daughter-in-law stands there with a reusable coffee cup in one hand and her phone in the other. She doesn't come in. "I've got a lot to do this morning," she says, eyes still on her screen. "My parents need rides to their doctor's appointments, and I'm behind on laundry. Just try not to be in the way." "Okay." Not "good morning," not "do you need anything," just a warning dressed up as scheduling. I nod. Of course I nod. That's what women like me do. We make ourselves smaller. We don't ask for much. But then she says it. "You know, this is why we didn't tell you we were moving them in. You always take things so personally." She says it with a laugh, like she's doing me a favor by not letting me be part of the decision. Like this displacement of mine is my fault for feeling too deeply. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. Because what can you say when someone twists the knife and tells you it's your own doing? I walk quietly past her into the kitchen. Her parents are sitting at the table again, her father in his robe. Her mother scrolling through a tablet like it's her own home. The seat I used to sit in is occupied by a potted plant now, like they were hoping I wouldn't stay long. I set the bakery box on the counter, the one with the sugar cookies my grandson used to loved ones I made by hand, rolled in cinnamon sugar, soft in the middle. I'd imagined us sitting at the table, dunking them in milk like old times. No one touches them. Her father looks up and says, "You make those like it's a foreign concept." "I always do," I say, "for my grandson." There's a long pause. Then her mother laughs and says, "Oh, he's moved on from that kind of thing. He's into Oreos now." I look away. I want to believe she's wrong, that he still likes my cookies, that he still remembers. But I haven't seen him yet, not even for a hug. And that kind of silence grows louder the longer it stretches. The dining room has new curtains. The furniture's been moved. There's a lavender diffuser humming softly where my old photo once stood. A picture of me and my son, us at the beach, him still small enough to need my hand. Gone. I ask where my son is. My daughter-in-law says upstairs with the baby monitor. He didn't sleep well. You know how it is. No, I don't know how it is, because no one tells me anymore. I clean my coffee mug and dry it with a paper towel. I go back to the garage and I sit. The heater clicks loudly in the corner, working hard to warm a space I was never supposed to be in. The walls are lined with cardboard boxes marked XMA, sports gear, and old books. And there's me, tucked between the past and the things no one knows what to do with. I look at my phone. No missed messages. No good morning from my son. No call from my grandson's little voice asking if I'll play trains with him. Just silence. And silence when you're this age starts to feel like erasure. She didn't even pretend to be polite. She didn't offer me space. She offered me a corner. And I start to wonder how many times in my life have I accepted less than I deserved, just to keep the peace. Because this morning, peace tastes like dust. That evening, I try again. I leave the garage around 6, my joints stiff and aching from sitting too long on that cot. The heater's done what it can, but my bones feel the truth of the concrete beneath. I walk into the house as softly as I can, trying not to feel like a trespasser. The hallway is warm and bright. There's music coming faintly from the living room, something jazzy and modern. I follow the sound, holding my breath as I pass by the kitchen. There they are again, her parents. Her father reclines with his feet up a knitted throw blanket on his legs like he owns the place. Her mother's laughing at something on the television, a glass of red wine in her hand. The same red wine my son used to buy for my birthday dinners. I stand in the hallway for a second too long. No one notices me. I peek into the dining room and my stomach turns. There's a framed photo of her parents now on the credenza. A new one. Recent. Taken on the very porch where I used to sit and sip tea with my grandson while he told me stories about dragons and talking cars. Their faces now sit where mine used to. The walls have shifted. The scent of this home, the rhythm of its heartbeat, none of it belongs to me anymore. I force a small smile and walk into the kitchen. The cookies are still untouched. The lid on the box is half open, as if someone peeked in and decided they weren't worth the effort. I open the fridge to pour a glass of water. Inside, everything's labeled, Mom's juice, Dad's leftovers, do not touch. I don't know who wrote the labels. I don't want to know. I close the door gently, as if the cold humming of the fridge might judge me too. Just then I hear a door creak upstairs. I freeze. My grandson. I know that sound. I've waited for it. I walk to the base of the stairs, heart thudding. I want to call out, but something stops me. Maybe it's the echo of my daughter-in-law's voice from this morning. Try not to be in the way. Still, I look up, and for one fragile second, I see him, standing at the top of the stairs in his little dinosaur pajamas, rubbing one eye, his favorite stuffed elephant hanging from one hand. "Grandma," he says. My throat tightens. I can't answer. I just nod. I smile. A real one. And then her voice cuts through. "Sweetheart upstairs now." He turns his head. I just wanted to, "No upstairs." There's no warmth in her voice. No recognition that his grandmother is here. No acknowledgement of me at all. Just an order. Sharp. Final. He glances back at me once more, eyes wide and confused. Then he disappears into the hallway. I stand frozen for a moment. I've never felt smaller. Later, back in the garage, I hear them through the walls. The muffled clinking of silverware. The low hum of voices. A burst of laughter. Another and another. Like they're celebrating something I'll never be told about. I'm not hungry. I nibble a cracker I find in my purse. I check my phone again. Nothing. When did I become invisible? I stare at the ceiling until the light bulb flickers out. And in the darkness, the laughter behind those walls echoes louder than ever. I gave my life to that boy upstairs. and tonight I sleep next to a lawnmower. How did I let it come to this? The next morning, I hear the door open again. Light spills into the garage, blinding at first. My son steps in. He hasn't visited me down here, not once, not even to check on the heater or ask if I slept okay. And now standing there in his weekend clothes, fleece pullover, coffee in hand, he looks like a stranger in his own childhood. "Hey, Mom," he says too casually. "You okay down here?" Down here. Like I've been hiding in a cellar. "I'm fine," I lie. He nods and rocks back on his heels like this is normal. Like it's fine that his mother is sleeping in a garage while his in-laws nest in the house like royalty. "I know it's not ideal," he says after a pause, "but it's temporary." I tilt my head. Temporary for who? He sighs, rubs his temple. "Come on, Mom, don't make this harder." Harder than what, James? He doesn't answer. I stand slowly, my knees stiff. I fold the blanket, place it on the cot. The air between us feels thick, like it hasn't been cleared in years. "I raised you better than this," I say, voice shaking. "I didn't think I'd have to remind you." "You don't understand," he says quickly. "Lena's parents had nowhere to go. Her dad's recovering from a procedure. They need help." "And I ask. "You think I'm here for the fresh air in the garage?" He winces. "Please don't guilt me." But I'm not trying to guilt him. I'm trying to find the boy who used to curl up in my lap when he was scared. The boy who once cried when I missed a spelling bee. I don't see him now. I see a man who's let convenience replace loyalty. "I didn't ask for the master suite," I whisper. "I didn't even ask for a room. I asked to see my grandson." At that he looks down. "Lena thinks it's better if we all take space." I nearly laugh. "You mean she thinks it's better if I disappear quietly?" No one's saying that. But he is. With every word he doesn't say, every time he looks away, every time he lets her speak for him, every time he chooses silence when I need a lifeline. "Is this her house?" I ask quietly. He pauses. "Well, no, but No, I repeat. "It's not. It's ours. You remember whose name is on the deed." His mouth opens, closes. That's not fair. "Neither is asking your mother to sleep beside the paint cans and act grateful." We stand there staring at each other. I see the flicker of shame in his eyes. But it's not enough. Not enough to pull me out of this concrete grave they've laid for me. "I just want things to be easy," he mumbles. "They are," I reply, "for her, for them." I pick up my coat. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I need air that hasn't been filtered through years of sacrifice and resentment. As I walk past him, I catch his whisper. "You always make everything so dramatic." I stop. My heart cracks just slightly. Not because he said it, but because he believes it. I raised him alone. I gave him everything I had. I missed holidays, worked weekends, skipped meals so he could eat better. And now I'm a burden for having feelings. I walk out without another word, because I know now his silence is no longer a shield. It's a choice. The next day starts colder. Not outside, the sun is finally up and shining, but in the house. In the way no one meets my eyes. In the way even the dog doesn't come sniffing at the garage door anymore. I stay in the garage longer than usual, hoping someone will knock, hoping for the sound of my grandson's feet, hoping for anything. But all I hear is the low hum of the washing machine and the voices of people who no longer see me. Eventually, I go inside. I need coffee, just something warm in my hands. I step into the kitchen and find my daughter-in-law waiting. She's dressed for errands, tight jeans, sweater tucked in, phone in hand. She doesn't even fake a smile this time. "We need to talk," she says flatly. I set my mug down before I even fill it. My chest tightens. I already know. She doesn't sit. She doesn't offer me a chair. She just leans on the counter like she's the one who owns the deed. I think it's time she says, not looking at me. For you to, make other arrangements. I stare at her. Other arrangements. This house, it's getting crowded. And I don't think it's fair to keep you in the garage. The kindness in her words is so false it burns. "Where would you like me to go?" I ask calmly, though my hands are trembling. "I gave up my lease when you invited me here to help with the baby." She shrugs. "Maybe you could stay with a friend, or..." There's always one of those senior apartments. It takes every ounce of strength not to shout, not to cry, not to slam the mug so hard it shatters like the illusion I've been clinging to. My son walks in just then. He doesn't speak. He doesn't defend me. He just rubs the back of his neck and glances at his wife like she's the one who should lead. So she does. "You can stay another day or two," she says, sipping her tea. "But after that, we really need the space." I nod. My ears are ringing. My vision blurs. But I nod. "Of course," I say. "Thank you for the heads up." Her mother walks by behind her holding a robe and a laundry basket. She doesn't even look at me, just steps around me like I'm an appliance left in the middle of the floor. I leave the kitchen without finishing the coffee. In the garage, I sit on the cot and stare at my suitcase. I never fully unpacked. Maybe some part of me knew this would happen. Maybe some part of me always expects the people I love to let go when I need them most. I take out my notebook. It's leather-bound, soft at the edges from years of journaling, and I flip to the back to the page where I scribbled something down months ago during a meeting with my attorney. "Deed still under your name. Keep safe. Call me if needed." My name, on the house still. They forgot or never cared to check. I close the notebook and stare at the garage wall, heart pounding, not with rage, but with clarity. They don't know what they've done. They kicked out the wrong person. And tomorrow, I will remind them. I don't sleep that night. Not really. I lie on the cot with my coat zipped up and my purse clutched to my chest like armor. The garage hums with the faint buzz of the water heater, and every creak of the house above me feels like a reminder I am not wanted here. At dawn, I slip out of the garage before anyone wakes. I don't bother tiptoeing anymore. I stop at the kitchen doorway. The light over the stove is still on, casting a soft gold glow across the counter. My cookies are gone, not eaten, just gone. The box is in the trash. I see it sticking out, lid torn open, crumbs still inside. They didn't even offer them to the child they were meant for. I open the fridge and take out the last yogurt I brought with me. No labels, no one's name. It's the only thing in the house that still feels like mine. As I spoon it into my mouth, I hear footsteps above me, soft ones, bare feet on hardwood. My grandson. My heart leaps. I rinse the spoon quickly and move toward the stairs, careful, cautious. Just a glimpse of him, that's all I need. Just one moment that proves he remembers me. I reach the base of the stairs and hear his voice. A sleepy little hum. "Where's Grandma?" he says. Then another voice, sharp, tired, and low, his mother's. "She's leaving today." I freeze. The air shifts in my lungs like someone punched through it. His voice comes again, smaller this time, but she just got here, and hers final and thin. It's for the best. I can't climb those stairs. Not now. Not with her standing between me and the only heart in that house that still beats for me. So I walk back to the garage. I dress slowly, buttoning my coat one notch at a time. Then I gather my things, my blanket, my pillow, my notebook, and fold them neatly into my suitcase. The door from the garage to the kitchen is half closed, and for a moment I just stand there looking in. The house looks peaceful, deceptively so, like nothing cruel has happened here. On the fridge, there's a drawing crayon scrawls of a stick figure family. There are 3 tall people, a small one, and a 5th off to the side. Short gray hair, a big smile, a heart above her head. It's me. He drew me. He still remembers. And they taped it up anyway, like a quiet reminder of what they're about to erase. I reach into my purse and take out a pen. On the back of the drawing, I write one sentence. "I will always be your safe place." Then I turn away. I leave the garage door unlocked behind me. Let them see how lightly I can walk out of a life where I am not welcome. As I step out into the morning, the cold hits my face like truth. But something in my chest feels warm for the first time in days. I know what I have to do, and the house they tried to claim without me. It's still mine. But not for long. I sit at the corner table of a quiet cafe I used to frequent when my son was in college. It hasn't changed much, still smells like cinnamon rolls and freshly brewed hope. I sip on weak diner coffee and pull out the manila folder I tucked into my suitcase weeks ago. The papers are wrinkled now, the ink slightly smudged on the corners, but the words are clear. The deed. My name, Marlene S. Whitaker, sole owner, not co-owner, not partial stakeholder. No one ever removed it. No one ever thought to. Back when James was young and trying to start a life with Lena, I offered the down payment as a gift 20% upfront, no questions asked. The market was tough, the interest rates high, and they were expecting their first baby. I wanted to give them a leg up, but I'd insisted on one thing. Keep my name on it, I'd said back then, just in case. In case of what he'd asked? In case you forget who helped build it. Now I know I was right to say it. I stir my coffee with a plastic straw and glance at the time. 9:15. Too early to call a lawyer, but not too early to start thinking like one. I pull out my phone and scroll to the contact labeled Howard M. Franklin, attorney at law. Howard is 73 now, mostly retired, but he's the kind of man who keeps his ties pressed and his promises tighter. I tap call. He answers on the second ring, his voice familiar and dry as toast. Marlene Whitaker. Haven't heard from you since you baked lemon squares for my secretary. Howard, I say quietly. Do you still handle real estate transfers? A pause. Depends. You trying to buy or sell? I look out the cafe window. Across the street, a couple walks with a stroller, their heads bent close together. They look like what I wanted for my son once. What I thought he had. I'm trying to remember what it feels like, I murmur. To be in control. He clears his throat. Come by at 11. Bring the deed. I hang up, then press my palm flat over the folder like it's a lifeline. They think I'm leaving with nothing, but they forgot the foundation under their feet was mine. At 11 sharp, I walk into Howard's office with my hair brushed and my coat buttoned high. The waiting room still smells like paper and lemon polish. The receptionist offers me a warm smile and a slice of nostalgia. Howard stands when I enter, slow but dignified. Still walking straighter than me, he chuckles. Only when I'm mad, I reply. We sit in his office, the blinds drawn low, and I lay everything out what happened, what they said, how they moved me into the garage and made me feel like a piece of stored furniture. He listens with his fingers steepled, his expression unreadable. When I finish, he nods slowly. They've made themselves comfortable in a house they didn't legally earn. I don't respond, because it's not about the house, not really. It's about the memory of standing at my own front door and being treated like a burden. About the child I raised choosing silence, while his wife carved me out of his life like I was excess fat. Howard slides a document across the desk. Here's what we'll do. Quiet sale. We don't need to give them notice until the ink is dry. I've got a notary coming in an hour. You'll need to list it quickly, but the market's good. I exhale, trembling. I know someone. A buyer. Not yet, I say, but I know the right kind of people. He narrows his eyes. You're sure you want to go through with this? I think of the garage, the cold, the folded blanket, the untouched cookies. My grandson being told I was leaving today. And I nod. Let them feel what it's like to be surprised at the door. Howard chuckles. Now that sounds like the Marlene I remember. It's strange the things that bring you clarity. For me, it was the sound of my grandson's voice being dimmed like someone flicking off a light in the middle of a laugh. That's what did it. Not the cot. Not the labels on the fridge. Not even the silence from my own son. It was the quieting of that little boy's joy. And so I began. After leaving Howard's office, I called Evelyn. Evelyn and I met through church years ago, two widows with stubborn backs and soft hearts. She always said if I ever needed a favor, all I had to do was ask. Evie, I said, do you know any families looking for a home? Quiet neighborhood, good schools, 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths. Needs love, not money. She paused. You sound like you're selling your spine. In a way, I am. She didn't ask questions. She never has. That's the thing about people who've been broken and put themselves back together when someone else cracks. They don't flinch. They reach. 2 hours later, she called me back. There's a family, the Coopers, friends of my niece. Their landlord sold their rental out from under them. Mom's a teacher, dad's a mechanic, 2 little girls. They're desperate, Marlene. Living with cousins right now, all 5 of them in one room. I asked for their number. Then I prayed on it. That night, I sat in the guest room of a modest motel near the highway with my suitcase by the door. I lit a small candle and let the flame flicker. I thought of my son as a baby, how I used to hold his head in my palm and whisper promises he couldn't understand yet. You'll never be alone, I'd say. You'll always have me. And look how he's repaid me. The next morning, I met the Coopers at the cafe. The same table, the same cinnamon-sweet air. She wore a wrinkled cardigan and had a binder full of pay stubs. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week, but still smiled as he pulled the chair out for her. The girls sat together, coloring each with an identical braid. "I'm not a realtor," I told them, "but I am the owner, and I'm ready to sell." They looked stunned. "Why us?" the wife asked quietly. I took a deep breath. "Because I know what it feels like to be cast aside." They didn't pry. They didn't ask who lived there now. They just said thank you, over and over like I was saving them from drowning. Howard took care of the paperwork quickly. He's old, but he moves with the speed of a man who still believes in righting wrongs. By the end of the week, the sale was in motion. I told the Coopers not to worry about the rest. "I'll handle the walkthrough," I said. They offered me a check that made my heart stutter. I slid it back across the table, put it toward a swing set. Tears filled the wife's eyes. The husband's hands trembled. "We'll take good care of it," she promised. "We'll love it." I nodded. That's all I ever wanted. After they left, I stayed in the cafe for a long time. It wasn't just a sale. It was the final quiet removal of the knife that had been twisting in my side for months. They kicked me out. But I was never out. I had the keys. And now, I'm choosing who gets to open the door. The Coopers moved with quiet grace, like people who had learned to tiptoe through life, so as not to disturb the luck they didn't believe they deserved. They came to meet me outside the house late in the afternoon when the light made everything look softer, like maybe the past could be forgiven if the sun hit it just right. They brought nothing but gratitude. No questions about the previous tenants, no demands about paint colors or appliances, just warmth. Mrs. Cooper held a folded list of the girls' favorite colors. "Do you think we could paint the bedroom lilac? It's not urgent, only if the walls need it." "Paint it lilac," I smiled. "Paint it sunshine yellow. Paint it like a promise." She blinked back tears. I unlocked the door and let them in for the first time. They stepped onto the hardwood floors like they were walking into a church. The little girls ran barefoot, giggling through the halls like they were exploring a castle. They didn't see the ghosts. They only saw the light. Mr. Cooper stood by the kitchen island and ran his hand over the marble like it was gold. "This," he said, and stopped as if the words were stuck behind his teeth. "This is more than we hoped for. I'm just glad someone will fill this place with laughter again," I said. He looked at me, then really looked. "You're not just selling a house, are you?" "No," I said. "I'm reclaiming it." The paperwork went fast. They were pre-approved. Howard moved heaven and earth to get it closed before anyone noticed what was happening. I signed the final documents on a Wednesday afternoon. Not in an office, not with champagne or balloons, just at his desk beneath an old photograph of his late wife and a dusty best lawyer in Wake County plaque. When I placed my signature at the bottom, he leaned back and gave me a long, measured look. "You sure you don't want to stay and tell them yourself?" I shook my head. "No. That's not how people like us leave. We let the truth ring the doorbell." He smiled. "You always were better at quiet justice than loud revenge." I stood. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is walk away with dignity. That evening I called Evelyn. "Did it go through?" she asked, breathless. "It did. And what about—" "They don't know yet." She was quiet for a moment. "Marlene, when the Coopers move in, won't that be hard to watch?" "No," I said, "because this house finally gets the kind of love it deserves." I visited the Coopers one more time before closing. I brought a small housewarming gift, a potted fern, the kind that thrives in corners and doesn't mind being forgotten from time to time. A survivor. I placed it on the kitchen windowsill and smiled at the smell of something baking. "Snickerdoodles," Mrs. Cooper said, cheeks red from the oven. "Your recipe." I blinked. "How did you—" "Your friend Evelyn. She told me. Said they were your grandson's favorite." I sat down at the table. The youngest girl brought over a cookie still warm in her tiny hands. I took a bite and closed my eyes. Not quite the same, but sweeter somehow, because this one came with kindness. The night before it all became real, I drove past the house one final time. Not to interfere, not to make a scene, just to say goodbye. I parked across the street, the engine idling as I sat behind the wheel, staring at the windows that used to glow just for me. Back when my son was small and would press his handprints on the glass, waiting for me to come home from the clinic. Back when the porch light meant you're welcome here always. Now, the windows were lit, but not for me. I saw shadows moving behind the curtains. Her parents probably settling into the den with wine and their usual air of entitlement. Maybe she was in the kitchen, reheating something expensive in that oven I scrub myself on Thanksgiving mornings. Maybe James was upstairs again holding the baby monitor like a shield to keep the guilt from leaking through. None of them knew the storm that was quietly circling. I looked down at my purse in the passenger seat. Tucked inside was a set of papers with signatures, dates, and a bright yellow sticky note from Howard Transfer Complete. Below it, the second item, a single brass key. The Cooper's key now, not mine anymore. But tonight, just for one last evening, I let myself pretend it still fit the lock of a place where I once belonged. A minivan pulled into the driveway. James stepped out. He looked tired, worn in the way men look when they're not sure which side of their life they're actually on. He didn't see me across the street, but I watched him pause at the mailbox. He opened it, pulled out a stack of envelopes, and looked at the top one for a while too long. Probably the letter from the escrow office. I imagined the silence that would fall when he brought it inside. How Lena would take it thinking it was junk. How she'd rip it open expecting another offer for a gutter cleaning service. Instead, she'd find it. Notice of ownership transfer. Effective immediately. Purchaser listed the Cooper family. I could already hear her voice sharp and rising. The panic, the denial, the beginning of the unraveling. But not tonight. Tonight they still believed they'd won. I turned off the engine and sat in the dark for another minute, just breathing. There are moments in life when you don't need revenge to taste sweet. You just need truth to step into the room like sunlight, quiet, steady, undeniable. And tomorrow, truth would ring the doorbell. I drove away without a single look back, because I'd already carried the memories with me, and tomorrow they could carry their own boxes out. I arrived just after 10 in the morning. The sky is spotless blue as porcelain, and there's a breeze brushing the tree branches with the kind of calm you only get before everything changes. I'm not alone. Beside me stands Mr. and Mrs. Cooper dressed neatly, both holding cups of coffee they barely sip. The girls stay behind in the car, buckled and chattering softly. They don't know that today is the beginning of everything new. The realtor, Alan, a polite man with too perfect hair and a clipboard tucked under his arm, nods at me. You sure he asks low enough that only I can hear? I nod once. We walk up the driveway. The same stones I once helped lay down myself. I know which ones wobble. Which ones sink just a little when it rains. Every piece of this place remembers me even if the people inside have forgotten. I raise my hand and knock. 3 firm raps, confident, not rushed. I hear footsteps. Then silence. Then more footsteps, quick ones. The door swings open, and there she is, Lena. Hair still wrapped in a silk scarf, pajama pants tucked into slippers. She's clearly not expecting visitors, especially not me. Marlene, she says, voice high and flat, like someone trying to cover panic with politeness. Behind her, I see her mother peek out from the hallway, eyes narrowing, a wine glass in hand. It's barely 10. Good morning, I say, and I smile gently. I thought it was time you met the new owners. She blinks once, twice. I'm sorry, what? Alan steps forward. Hi, Alan Brooks, realtor. Just here to officially begin the final walkthrough before the Coopers take possession. Lena laughs. It's brittle and sharp. I'm sorry there must be a mistake. No mistake, I say. The sale went through 3 days ago. I gave notice. You may want to check your mail. She stares at me like she's seeing a ghost. Behind her, her father walks in from the den. What's going on? Lena spins to him, sputtering. They're saying we don't live here anymore, that she sold it. Because I did, I say, calm as the morning. The house is in my name, always has been. You never thought to check, did you? My son appears at the top of the stairs. His hair is a mess. His eyes are rimmed red. Marlene, he says, stunned. What are you doing? I'm handing over the keys, I say. He comes down slowly. His eyes dart between the Coopers, the realtor, and me. Then he settles on Lena. Did you know she still owned the place? Lena's face goes white. You said we were on the deed, he says again, more quietly now. I assumed. You assumed, I repeat. Just like you assumed I'd sleep in your garage and be grateful for it. No one speaks. Alan clears his throat. We'll need about 20 minutes for the walkthrough, and I do have a moving truck arriving by 1. Lena opens her mouth to protest, but James lifts a hand. No, he says finally, it's done. She turns to him betrayed. You're siding with her. He doesn't answer, because he knows. He's too late. I step aside so the Coopers can enter. The girls squeal from the car as they see the door open. Their mother waves them over. Lena watches in stunned silence as 2 little girls run past her barefoot straight into the house. Not hers anymore. Mine. And now theirs. The quiet was deafening, but not for me. I finally exhale, and it sounds a lot like freedom. The sound of wheels scraping across concrete is oddly satisfying. Lena's father drags the first suitcase to the end of the driveway, muttering under his breath, his slippers slapping angrily with each step. The second one rolls behind him, full, loud, defiant, as though it can speak for him when his pride won't let him. Her mother follows soon after, a silk scarf tied around her neck, like she's going on a cruise instead of being quietly evicted. She refuses to meet my eye as she passes me. Instead, she clutches a faux leather handbag in one hand and a crystal vase in the other. You might want to leave that, I say gently. It belongs to the house. Her jaw tightens. She sets it down on the porch without a word. Lena is still inside, pacing the living room like she can outwalk what's happening. Her voice rises and falls behind the glass, fraying at the edges. Do something, James. This is insane. He doesn't reply. I can see him through the front window standing still. Just still. Like a man caught between the past and the consequence. Alan and the Coopers move quietly through the upstairs, now checking off rooms on the clipboard. The girls are laughing in what was once the guest room, my guest room, where I used to tuck in my grandson when he fell asleep in my arms. The echoes don't hurt anymore. They feel resolved. I watch as Lena reappears at the front door, arms full of coats hastily grabbed off hooks, shoes shoved under her elbows. Marlene, she snaps, her voice now a bitter melody of disbelief and rage. I hope you're proud of yourself. I take a step forward, then stop. I'm not proud, I say softly. I'm disappointed, but I'm not ashamed. She scoffs, eyes wild. You blindsided us. You humiliated us. I nod slowly. And yet you were comfortable letting me sleep next to a snowblower. Her mouth opens, then closes. No words left, because none would be enough. She stares at me like I'm someone she never really looked at before. Not a grandmother, not a widow, not a woman who built the foundation of their lives. Just an inconvenience that turned into a reckoning. The Coopers step outside for a moment, standing by their car, giving the family one last sliver of dignity. It's more than they gave me. James finally emerges, holding his son's backpack. He walks straight to me. His voice is low, hoarse. You really sold it. I meet his eyes. Yes. He looks down. You didn't even warn us. I raise an eyebrow. You didn't either. He sighs, defeated. I should have stopped it. I say nothing. Because we both know the truth. He didn't. Not when it counted. And now his silence is sitting on the curb beside his wife's monogrammed suitcase. The garage door is open, empty now, cold and echoing like it remembers. I glance toward it once more before I turn back to the car. Behind me, Lena argues with the movers. Her mother fans herself. Her father lights a cigarette he isn't supposed to have. And I exhale. No yelling, no chaos, just facts like stepping stones beneath my feet. The house is no longer mine, but neither is the weight of their indifference. And that is the cleanest freedom I've ever known. He catches up with me at the edge of the driveway, hands stuffed into his jacket pockets, like he's still that teenager who used to fidget when he knew he'd disappointed me. Mom, he says softly, wait. I stop, but I don't turn. Not yet. His voice is shaky. I didn't know about the deed, about all of it. I turn then, slowly, because this is the moment I've played in my head 100 times. But in every version, it came with more than regret. It came with courage. I tried to talk to you, I say quietly. You didn't want to hear it. He swallows hard. Lena said your name was taken off years ago, and you didn't check. I trusted her. That stings more than I expect. I nod, biting the inside of my cheek. I see. He steps closer, lower now, as if proximity can rewrite history. I never meant for things to get like this, but they did. The words hang there between us, suspended in the same air where I once kissed his scraped knees, clapped at his middle school recitals, and held his hand when he cried after Dad died. They did, because he let them. I kept thinking, "You'd be okay," he says almost in disbelief. "You're always okay." My lips part just slightly. That sentence slices more deeply than any accusation ever could, because I know what it means. I've always been strong, haven't I? The woman who never complained, the one who volunteered to help slept on couches, said yes instead of no, because I could take it, until I couldn't, until the garage, until that blanket. "Strong doesn't mean I don't bleed," I whisper. He looks like he might cry, but I'm tired of being the one who breaks first. "You could have said something," he murmurs. "I did, just not in words loud enough to reach past your wife's voice." His shoulders sag. He looks toward the house, no toward what used to be the house, where the Coopers now carry in grocery bags and bedding and a framed sign that says, "Love grows here." "You didn't give us a chance to fix it," he says. I stare at him. "James, you had 1,000 chances. Every morning I woke up in that garage was a chance. Every time you heard her speak to me like I was nothing was a chance. Every time you let her pretend I didn't matter in my own grandson's life, that was a chance." His jaw tightens. I didn't know how to make it right. "You don't get to be proud of what you failed to protect." The words aren't angry. They're just true. He lowers his eyes, and in that moment, I finally see the little boy again. The one who used to be so afraid of disappointing me that he'd cry over a forgotten homework assignment. But he's not that boy anymore. He's a man, one who let comfort win over conscience. "I'm sorry," he says. I know I whisper, but sorry won't undo silence. We stand there just breathing, the kind of breathing that happens when the bond between two people thins to a fragile thread. Behind us, Lena shouts something about the wrong box being loaded. Her parents argue in tandem. Chaos just the way they seem to like it. I step back toward my car. James watches me go, like he doesn't quite know what to do with the woman walking away. And for once, I don't tell him. Because this time, he doesn't get a soft ending. He gets the space he handed me. I don't drive off right away. Instead, I pull my car into the shade across the street and watch. The sun has shifted, casting long shadows across the driveway as the movers work faster, now sensing tension in the air. There's no shouting, just brisk, angry efficiency, the kind that comes when dignity is fraying and everyone is trying to pretend it's not. Lena stands on the lawn with her phone pressed to her ear, pacing in small, rigid circles. Her voice carries faintly something about calling her brother, something about suing, something about the nerve. Her mother has taken to barking orders at the movers, pointing to boxes like she owns the sidewalk. Her father, red-faced, tries to flag down the driver who's double-parked with their second load of belongings. And James, he's just standing there, one hand on his hip, the other dragging slowly down his face like he's trying to rub away the last 36 hours. He looks completely undone, like the weight of every unspoken moment is finally bearing down. He catches sight of me through the windshield. We hold each other's gaze for a second. No words, just that long, aching look between a mother and son who now understand that some lines once crossed leave a mark that doesn't fade. I see my grandson step out of the house. He's holding a stuffed elephant, the same one I bought him for his 3rd birthday. His eyes scan the street. He waves when he spots me. It's innocent, pure, a reflex. A child's heart not yet trained to hold grudges. I lift my fingers in return, a small wave. My hand trembles. Lena turns, sees him, and instantly grabs his arm. She whispers something low and sharp and pulls him back inside. The door closes. I blink slowly, willing the tears not to come. Not yet, not here. A part of me aches deeply, fiercely to run over, scoop him up, and tell him none of this is his fault, that Grandma still loves him, that even though grown-ups mess up, he was never the mistake. But I don't, because this part of the story isn't mine to fix anymore. I roll down the window just slightly, and the breeze carries the smell of fresh-cut grass and something sweet. Maybe the Coopers already lit a scented candle inside, already making it their home. The life inside that house now is not built on guilt or obligation. It's built on grace. And across the street, I sit still quietly as the woman who refused to be discarded. The last suitcase is loaded. The moving truck door slams shut. No one looks back. And I let them leave without ceremony. No waves. No goodbye. Because closure isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just choosing not to chase people who've already let go of you. I drive off slowly. The mirror shows the house getting smaller behind me. But in my chest, something grows larger. Peace. By the time I unlock the door to my new apartment, the sky is stained pink with the last light of day. The hallway smells faintly of fresh paint and quiet beginnings. It's not fancy, just a modest 2-bedroom tucked inside a brick complex on the edge of town, but it's mine. The key turns easily. No hesitation, no years of resentment clinging to the lock. Inside boxes are neatly stacked where the movers place them. My old armchair sits in the corner next to the lamp, with the fraying shade my grandson used to call Grandma's moon. The kitchen is still bare, but the fridge hums like it's waiting to be filled. I take off my shoes at the door, something Lena used to snap at me about. It's just a habit, she'd say. No need to be formal. But now, this small ritual feels sacred, like I'm entering holy ground. I put the kettle on. Not because I'm cold, because this time I want to make tea for myself. I walk over to the single-framed photograph I unpacked first me and my grandson at the county fair 2 summers ago. He's got ice cream smeared across his cheek. I've got the kind of smile that comes from being someone's favorite person in the whole world. I place it on the windowsill. Sunlight catches the edge of the glass. I sit in silence for a long time, not the bitter kind that crept into the garage like fog. This silence is warm. It breathes with me. The kind that says, you did it. You chose yourself. You reclaimed your voice. I remember how James looked as I drove away hollow, as if he finally realized what he'd lost. But I don't let that take root, because this story was never about punishing him. It was about rescuing me. My phone buzzes once. A message from Evelyn. Thinking of you. You okay? I smile. Better than okay, I reply. Later that evening, I light a candle and pour a cup of tea. I whisper a promise to the picture on the sill. If he ever needs me, I'll be here. But I'll never wait by someone's closed door again. Because doors go both ways. And this one only opens for peace. The night settles gently. Outside my window, the trees sway like they've heard every word and still choose to stay rooted. Somewhere across town, I imagine a family unpacking into the house that once held my shame. But tonight, that home breathes new air laughter, echoing down a hallway, no longer stained by silence. I pour one last cup of tea and sit at the edge of my bed. The blanket drapes softly around my shoulders. This one wasn't pulled from a hallway closet in a hurry. I chose it. The color, the texture, the weight. It comforts without reminding. I think of my grandson, his small hand waving through the car window. I hope he's sleeping now. I hope he dreams of dinosaurs and safe places. And if he ever needs a safe place again, I'll be ready, but not waiting in shadows. I've learned something about love. Love that asks you to shrink isn't love, it's control. Love that silences you isn't love, it's convenience. And love that makes space for your grief, your hope, your story. That's the kind I'll offer myself now. I lie back and close my eyes. Not from exhaustion, but peace. Finally, peace.